It is now 3 minutes past 6 p.m. We gather here today to have our first budget meeting. I believe that's the main item, and there is a second item on the agenda which we will discuss about after we take a 5-minute recess at the end of the budget meeting. At this point of time, we'll stand up for pledge of well, we'll do roll call first.
Mayor Joseph,
Here.
Councilwoman Keys,
Present.
Councilman Bienerman, Vice Mayor Desiree, Councilman Galvin. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let's stand up for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's go straight to tab A, Mr. Clerk.
Tab A, and just for the record, I have to read the entire ordinance, the entire resolution in its entirety. Tab A, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, adopting a tentative millage rate of 7.5000 mils for fiscal year 2016 through 2017, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Whereas the City of North Miami, Florida, City has considered an operating budget for fiscal year 2016 through 2017 in accordance with the provisions of Section 200.065 Florida Statutes 2016, and whereas the millage rate necessary to fund the city's operating budget for fiscal year 2016 through 2017 is 7.5000 mils, which is less than 1% below the rollback rate, and whereas in accordance with Section 200.065 subparagraph 5 Florida statutes as amended from time to time, a majority vote of the mayor and city council is required to adopt a rate of up to 7.5000 mils, and whereas the mayor and city council find that the adoption of the proposed tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2016 through 2017 is in the best interest of the city. Now, therefore, be it duly resolved by the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, Section 1, adoption of tentative millage rate. The Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida hereby adopt 7.5000 mils as the tentative millage rate on assessed property value necessary to fund the city's fiscal year 2016 through 2017 operating budget. Section 2, effective date, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption. Passed and adopted by a blank vote of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, this blank date of blank 2016.
Thank you. Mr. Manager.
Through the mayor, we'll have a quick presentation from our budget director to go over a PowerPoint with regards to our millage recommendations, some of the budget highlights, and some of the details. For the purpose of this item, the item is the millage rate reading, but we will be presenting both the millage rate impacts as well as the general operating budget for the purpose of the discussion. But the second item will be specifically for the tentative adoption of the first reading of the budget. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear on the record.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Terry Henley, Budget Office. And what I'll be going over is a brief presentation on your preliminary budget for fiscal year 16-17. There's 5 topics that we're going to go over. We'll first go over the total budget for all funds, then the general fund specifically, its revenues and expenditures, the enterprise funds, stormwater, water and sewer, and then I'll go over capital and operational enhancements. What's new in this year's budget compared to last year? And then I'll have some summary points. This year's budget's proposed at $149,956,446. Now, 44% of your budget is your general fund at $66 million approximately. The water and sewer a little more than 52 million or 35%. 2.7 million stormwater, and then transportation and all other funds comprises the remainder of your budget. This slide represents your general fund budget and what it's looked like the last few years. And if I could draw your attention to the red bar, you'll see that our current year budget is a little more than $60 million. But the white bar, your proposed budget, is $66.5 million. So how did we go up 9%, or roughly $6 million? Well, we had a $4.4 million check from Solomia, and that money went into your reserves. The remaining $1.5 million is operational and capital enhancements. That includes new police and insourcing of the building department and utility billing. And I'll go over those in more detail in the coming slides of those operational enhancements. Now, your general fund revenues, that's what this slide represents. And you'll see that tax revenue will be up 13%. And this is due to the new construction that was not on the tax roll in the prior year. License and permit revenue, that will go up this year due to the strategic insourcing of the building department, where we removed a contract where we had to share 70% of our revenues, and now we are keeping 100% of our building permit revenue. So that's why that category's up. Fines and forfeits is down 12%, and this is due to the trickling effect that the removal of the red light camera program has had. Miscellaneous revenue did not change, and non-revenues are up due to the increased reserve that the city is building. This slide represents what your millage rates looked like the last 5 or so years. You can see that in 2013 it was as high as 8.1. And the last 3 years, we've had the same millage rate of 7.9336. This year, this proposed budget is a balanced one that uses 7.5000, which is a tax cut. This slide represents the 3 millage rate options that we did during our budget workshop. The yellow is the existing rate of 7.9336. And if you compare it to option C, the below the rolled back rate of 7.5, you'll see that it's approximately $1 million difference. But we were able to balance with the 7.5 being proposed. This slide represents your general fund expenses by department. I'm gonna go over a few of the departments to highlight of interest. You'll see that the building department's up $300,000, and that's because the removal of the contract and the hiring of bringing employees in-house. Code is up about 25%, and that's because they received new positions last year, and those positions, the pension is finally being realized this year because we pay pension a year behind. Also, there's a $120,000 supplemental that was funded for the demolition of abandoned properties. Next, non-departmental is up 45%, and this is the major reason why your budget's up $6 million. You'll see that the majority of it is here in non-departmental, where the reserves are higher. Also of interest, police is up about $700,000 because they include 8 new positions this year compared to last year. And you'll see that Parks and Rec and Public Works, those are slightly down, but that's just due to the completion of several projects, including citywide capital, Sasso Pool, Biscayne Landing allocation, Basad Park, and tennis court rehabs from last year. This slide represents the capital enhancements budget for this year, and you'll see that there's more than $5 million in water and sewer capital, and sidewalks, $1 million this year for installation and repair. Traffic calming, $300,000. Street resurfacing, $260,000. Downtown revitalization, $232,000. Body cameras are in here for the police department at $120,000. Cyclical replacement of technical equipment. This is new computers and technology at almost $115,000. We also have air conditioning units for MoCA and the library and books, and that's at $88,000 and $80,000 respectively. Roadway medians and curb repair at $50,000. Transit shelter installation at $49,000. A police use of force training simulator at $35,000. We have budgeted Wi-Fi in all our community centers next year at $20,000. And then we're also going to have our channel 77 being on AT&T. Or, yeah, AT&T. This slide is your operational enhancements. And what this slide includes is a number of new positions. Includes about 38 positions that are new, 32 in the general fund. And you'll also see a non-departmental request for the North Miami Brew Fest at $150,000, $100,000 for trees, $20,000 for each district, District 3 pocket park enhancements and enchanted forest improvements, and that's all in one line item at the very top. And then the number of new positions that we were able to do. Enterprise funds, you'll see stormwater's about $2.8 million. This is pretty much the same as last year. Operating expenses in it were 54%. Personnel was only 22%. And reserves and internal services at 7% and 1%. This is your water and sewer budget. It's almost $52 million, and it includes personnel at less than 10%, operating expenses at 17%, internal services at 30%, and then you'll have 10% in capital and another 34% in reserves waiting to be moved over for capital. Now, this is the last slide, and what's different this year than last year? What can we take away with this year's budget? With this year's budget, it proposes tax cuts by bringing the millage rate from 7.9336 to 7.5. We also enhanced services, and we were able to do that by maximizing existing resources by looking at contracts and bringing things in-house, including the building department and utility billing. And last, this budget, it proposes a more robust reserve. You have your existing $5 million for that can only be touched by resolution, $2.7 million in unrestricted reserve, $2 million in restricted for CAGNY, and another $1 million almost in unrestricted capital and operational reserves. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you.
All right, do you have anything more to add, Mr. Manager, before we go to the public?
I just wanted to do one clarification with regards to the listing for the sidewalk and installation at $1 million. Those funds can be used for streets and sidewalk installation and repair. So I want to make that clarification.
For streets and sidewalks?
Yes.
Well, you know, I went over that with you
Right.
before the meeting. So which means there will be only $1.3 million, 1.3 or 1.4.
In total, it's just over 1.5 million
1.5.
between street, sidewalk, traffic calming.
Well, to be honest with you, I personally, well, we're gonna come back to the dais after the opportunity for the public to be heard. So I guess at this time we'll open the discussion for public hearing. Anyone who has any suggestions, questions, concerns about the budget based on the presentation you just saw, and I believe the backup information, is it listed also online?
Yes.
Yeah, so people can have access to it. But I see no one coming for public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Members of the dais.
Through the mayor, I need to make one clarification. There was one sentence added to the resolution disclosure that needed to be made in the second whereas. It read previously, whereas the millage rate necessary to fund the city's operating budget for fiscal year 2016-2017 is 7.5000 mils, which is negative, this is the add, which is negative 0.3203 below the rollback rate of 7.5241. So I just need to make that addition to the record. Right.
Thank you. Madam Councilwoman?
I'll be quick. Budget Department, Terry, Arthur, great job. City looks healthy, and I'm real pleased. I didn't have any major changes. Couple things on the wish list. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to do that. Is one, I'd like to get a park ranger, who would be a roving park ranger for the entire city, to make sure that our parks are locked at night, and whatever else park rangers do, make sure that they're clean, make sure they're safe, and, you know, go around and check on that. I don't know if that has to be a full-time, but we need parks closed at night, and they're not being closed. Still very adamant. I know it says we have 8 new officers. I don't know if that means we have 8 new bodies. And I'm still very strongly feel we need more traffic officers throughout the city. Everybody's complaining. There are specific areas that we really must have more traffic. And after certain incidents that happened in my neighborhood, actually, Saturday, people were coming around. We need a better patrol, a night patrol throughout. I'm saying, gee, Keystone needs it. Well, San Souci's gonna want it. Well, if they want it, the entire city deserves it. It should not just be for one neighborhood. But I really would like to see enhanced night patrols throughout our city. But that's when a lot of the burglaries and crimes are happening. I would like to see, I know we need a minimum housing officer. We only have 2. We have about 500 commercial properties, and I really believe that another minimum housing officer is required. And as far as streets, I actually made a comment that I felt that we did not have enough money set aside for street repair. There are a lot of streets in our city that are full of holes and potholes, and I know our maintenance comes out and fixes them, but I want to make sure we have adequate money. And I do agree that the items for street surfacing and sidewalk repair should be combined, so it could be used for street paving also. I think the 300 you mentioned for traffic calming is not really for that. It's for circles and bumps. That's all I have to say.
All right. Mr. Galvin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one question right now, and that is regarding the $2 million restricted to Cagney Park, listed as the budget highlights. Can you give us more insight into what that means?
That is the money from the original or the most recent purchase proceeds we received from selling the land to Solomia. That was set aside to be our portion of the grant or the redo of the Cagney Park, which is in partnership with Dade County giving us GOB and the school board. In fact, ironically, or today I actually met with the school board on the items and let them know we had our money there. So you already passed the resolution allocating the money, so this is just us appropriating it as far as the budget is concerned.
Gotcha. So do they have an idea when they're finally going to get started on that?
So the holdup has been, and this is not really pointing fingers, the staff at the school board has been kind of adamant about us having the GOB money already in the account prior to execution of the joint agreement. I went over there today to have a discussion with some of the school board members regarding at least allowing us 90 days to get the money transferred from the county. That money's already allocated, but they do have to do an administrative appropriation change, which everyone is very, very well aware of and on board on. So it's just a matter of, hey, give me 90 days and not 24 hours to put all the money in the account. So it is moving, and matter of fact, the remarks I made to school board members today was we're ready to move.
Right. Yeah, now that's going to be exciting for everybody. Okay, that's the only question I have, Mr.
Thank you very much. Again, to resonate with Madam Councilwoman, and last meeting we had, and I believe all five of us, if not maybe 4 out of 5, did express the need for more money for streets. And thus far, we see only 1.5 million allocated, for that. I would like to see much more money allocated for streets. Like I've always said, this city is 90 years old, and 10 years from now, we'll be celebrating our centennial. And I would like to see more streets being repaired, restructured. If we can, I don't know if we can come up with any actual amount, I would ask, I would recommend, and if I could get some support to see if we can get another million allocated for streets, because upon the analyzing and researching and asking questions from different engineers, I do understand that it does cost a lot of money just to redo maybe like 5 blocks of one street. And a couple of months ago, we had some money allocated, and I picked 3 different streets and thinking that we were gonna do like maybe several blocks, and we couldn't. I had my bubbles burst, and then we ended up we're doing only 4 or 5 blocks now, with let's say 4 for now. So redoing streets and is not cheap. It's not a cheap business, but unfortunately, it's part of our growing pain. We know North Miami is being looked at by many different groups of demographic people, and we're trying to put the city in such a state where we could attract different people from different ages, teenagers, college students. I think our streets are some of the primary things that we need to look at. And the second thing I want to bring out is the Brewfest. The Brewfest is I'm glad to see that it's coming to fruition. About 6-7 months ago maybe, I contemplated the idea of having a wine and food festival in the city. And with that, I approached the FIU hospitality department, since a lot of people don't know that they're the ones who actually started Wine and Food, South Beach Wine and Food Festival. And so why not Miami? Because no city in this area has really come up with something like that. And every city has a signature thing that they do, and we're trying to position our city to have some signature events that people will look forward to attending every year. But after a couple of meetings with them, and they kind of taught us that wine is kind of pretty much not phasing out, but there's actually a new generation of people who are more inclined to having craft beer as opposed to a red wine. So they convinced us that a brewfest, a crafted beer or brewfest would be more ideal. And we agreed with that. And I think as recently as last week, Mr. Manager, you were on the phone with their attorneys.
That is correct, sir. We were finalizing the agreement with them, and it will be officially North Miami Brewfest.
So in many meetings, they tried to crush the name North Miami. They wanted to bring their own name. And I said, no. We came up with the idea, to do this joint venture. I want the name North Miami in it, because that's the name that we are actually selling at there. So we are rebranding. And
Have we discussed this at a council meeting?
No, this is, the administration has been kind of working on it. I know the mayor had mentioned it previous. So given the timing and everything, we thought it appropriate to bring it as part of the budget appropriation. The actual item and all that stuff will have to come back to the full commission for full consideration. So we're allocating the money, but the agreement.
But as you know, I cannot talk to you, in private. So, but the manager was charged with the mission of letting everybody know.
And I guess I'm confused too. What? What are you talking about? Can you tell? I mean, we're partnering with FIU for. We're in the process of working on a partnership with the university to basically joint venture with them on
a festival that they started.
How come that wasn't brought up in my budget summarization this morning?
If I missed it, I know we only had a few minutes with you on it this morning, but
How much is it?
the allocation is $150,000.
When will it be?
The
It's
November?
in like the November timeframe,
Of 2016?
2016.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to learning more.
I will make sure we give you a briefing after the day. And again,
I'm
the
an FIU
document,
alum. I'm looking forward to them.
the document is still not, I still have to bring all of it to the council.
Will
so.
we get all this before a second budget hearing?
Yes.
And if we don't like what we're seeing, the 150,000 could be, you know,
The-
it's a big allocation.
You will like what you will
Okay,
see.
I'm not against it. I just want to make sure that, you know, we just didn't agree to 150,000 tonight, and all of a sudden there's some festival we
No,
haven't talked about.
You still I have to bring back a full item back to the board, so.
So hopefully we'll get it before our final
Yes, you
budget.
will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think I may have one more item, one more point to make, but it slipped my mind now, so I'll yield to Vice Mayor at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For clarification, are we on the tax rate, or are we dive right into the budget? Or do we discuss?
Well, and I think we have to be clear, for the purpose of the item that was read, this is the millage rate
The millage
item.
rate, exactly.
Yes, sir.
So, with that said, Mr. Manager, if we adopt your recommendation, which I do want to applaud administration for lowering the millage rate, would you have enough funding to do within the proposed budget, the 66 million that you are proposing to us?
Yes,
Yes, sir. I was saying, after talking to all of us, you still would be in the time frame of balancing the budget.
I still, right now, as we sit, still having heard from Councilman Bieneme officially
Okay.
in this discussion.
Got
I
it.
do feel comfortable because we do have some reserve room to make some of the
To make
changes.
some adjustment.
Make some
So
adjustments,
whatever-
and we can make some adjustments.
So whatever that we do tonight, based on your proposal, if we adopt it, which I do like the 7.5, so we would be moving things around.
Yes.
If we, okay.
Yes, and if you would allow me through the mayor, I think you're knocking on a very important point. If you adopt this at first reading today at the 7.5, we can't go up at
Yes,
the
I know, we
next
could go down.
meeting. If you feel that we need to have a little bit more room as we work through the rest of the budget process, then I would say perhaps to adopt a slightly higher millage number tonight,
then go
and then
down.
go down at the last
At the
hearing, and I
next
think that
meeting.
would be legally
Well,
sufficient.
When we had our conversation, we had our budget meeting, we talked about that, so that you will have enough room. I do feel comfortable with the 7.5, but right now, the 7.9, that's how much money additional. I think, Terry, you said it's a roughly about $1 million more to the general fund. Okay, so that's not too bad, because I know the reason that I mentioned that, I know the mayor talked about adding another million, because I'm like, where would this be unless we cutting some services and some other benefits within this time frame? But I'm not talking about the budget yet, so that I just want to put that on the record. Thank you.
Mr. Bieneme?
Yes. And Mr. Manager, in the budget, 38 new employees gonna be added to the 38, including the 8 officers,
Yes, sir.
or plus,
That's including.
including 38 employees.
So, and I know that number was thrown out there, and I need to clarify something. Some of the,
Terry
sorry.
just said that, not, he just said.
No, he's right. The number is the number.
Okay.
What I want to clarify is, with regards to some of these positions, Some of these are positions that you've already considered in the current fiscal year. For instance, the insourcing of the meter reader operation, which is something that we brought back to the council, is as part of this number.
Okay.
Also, you also have the insourcing of our building department, which had a significant number of additional positions related to that. When you talk about the net savings, we're in a position we'll be ahead financially in the budget, but the head count does actually go up. So I just want to be clear, we're just not adding an absolute 38 new positions with no kind of offset plan. So.
Okay. Okay.
So we
And
need
then-
a proposal?
No, not the proposal. You said 38 new employees, including the building department. That's when you're gonna get rid of cap government.
Yes, we will be transitioning away from them. It won't happen immediately on day one, and I think we will be. We're budgeting to utilize some of their services still during the transition, but yes, the plan is to go to our full in-house building department inspectors, the full complement.
But should it be a policy decision made by us
Well,
to get rid of the contract?
this budget and this offering that we're making is a part of that policy decision. If you feel that you do not want for us to move in that direction, you would, I guess, drive that policy via this legislative vehicle.
Is
But
it
it-
the decision gonna be more efficient for the department?
The operation will be more efficient. We will actually net, I guess, and I have to be careful the words I use because the building operations, the revenue that it generates must support the operation specifically and solely. So we are resulting in a less expensive building department at the end of the day.
Okay. Do you have, how many people are gonna be added to the building department? How
Yes,
many
you got
employees are you
specific
talking
number,
about for the building department?
There will be 5 new positions in the building department.
Where they're gonna be sitting at? Because I don't see space at the building department.
Yeah,
At 5 new employees, 5
They're,
new
they
desks.
would be renovating the actual space down there, in the building that, and I think they started some of that renovation anyways. Keep in mind, we've had the bodies the entire time. They were just cap government bodies. Now we will have our own bodies at the end of the day.
Okay. Why you remove a position from the public works assistant directors and contract managers, a contract manager? Someone to oversee the project.
We did not
We didn't
remove
remove any positions from Public Works.
But you didn't add any money into it for public works.
Which page, sir? Where?
Public works department. The assistant director. for
The
public
assistant
works.
that's paid out of the water and sewer fund, so if you look at your water and sewer page, that's in there. And of the 38 positions, 6 of them are in the enterprise, 5 from the water and sewer, and 1 from the stormwater.
That's when you remove it from general fund to the enterprise fund.
That was like that last year. This is the same as last year.
Okay, that's when I'm gonna see the position in water and sewer, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the budget for the police department is down 2%,
No, it's up $700,000.
700 from last year,
Yeah.
but you reduced the money for training by 2%, if I'm not mistaken. Mhm. Can you show it to me, police department training?
Are we reviewing?
I see
the
less
budget now?
money than last year.
What page are you on, sir?
You should have said because
Do we have to go back with the millage rate first?
I didn't know. They said it makes sense. 'Cause
That's,
I'm lost here.
and I apologize. Typically, yes, it is confusing. We are the item in front of you is the millage rate item. I am hearing your comments on the budget. I know the Vice Mayor, chose to not delve into the
Right
budget.
now.
Right now,
if
right now.
If we,
We're
Mr.
gonna finish
Attorney,
with the
is that-
millage rate, right?
So can we do both right now, or what is your suggestion?
At the end of the day, you have to come up with a millage rate tonight.
I
but
understand.
I don't know how you do that without discussing the budget somehow.
No,
So I think we're
okay.
trying to balance discussing
Yeah.
the budget to kind of give you an idea what millage rate to go with. And then we're gonna have a complete discussion on
So-
the budget. So
W-
if you
If-
feel
if-
you need
if I
more
may-
information, then I think you have to ask.
No, what I was gonna suggest, I would feel more comfortable, but I don't know how my colleagues would feel if we leave it as is, like we said, the 7.9, and let's discuss it, and if you see anything, then we put it at 7.5, our next meeting.
Okay.
And that's just a suggestion, because it's kind of like, so once we're done, we'll vote on both?
Normally, we normally do the tentative millage rate first.
Yeah.
However, since we're going to the rollback rate is slightly underneath, just to make sure that there's nothing that comes up during the discussion, that's why we are going through discussion in case we need to raise the rate.
Well, that's
before
what I'm
we go.
saying. We
So-
know we can't raise it past 7.9. So why don't we vote that, what we were gonna do before, and then if the manager, after all of our concerns, we've gone through the budget, you could make a recommendation, we'll be going to 7.5.
If I may say, I mean, for over about a year now, we've been talking about the millage rate as to whether we could lower it, and if we do, would we be able to balance the budget and so forth. But having a budget department like we do, and just a couple of weeks ago, we made this presentation about this award that our department received for the third consecutive time, which is the most that any municipality has ever done. So it's like you have a child and you know he's been bringing good grades home. He's an A student. So that's why with all confidence, I've gone over this book over and over during the weekend. So yes, I did labor, Mr. Attorney, during Labor Day. So, and after asking so many questions to deputy manager, and they reassured me many times that with the 7.5, the budget will be definitely balanced, based on our requests that we've had in the past preliminary meetings and so forth. So I feel very confident with going with the 7.5 at this time, because as long as we're okay with all these different departments, what their budgets are. Most of them are up. As a matter of fact, most of them are up. So at the end of the day, what we will see is a reduction in taxes for the residents in the city of North Miami. So it cannot only be a good thing, balancing the budget and decreasing taxes at the same time. So not many government can actually do that.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm not,
Through you to the staff, if we're going to add another $1 million to sidewalk and street repairs, that millage rate must come up from 7.5. Or we must go line by line through the existing budget tonight and cut $1 million of something else out, whatever that might be. So if we're saying we want another $1 million for streets and sidewalks, that means that millage rate's gotta come up by 3 or 4 percentage tenths of a point, because otherwise we don't have the revenue to be able to do that. So we just, I totally get where Councilman DeSilme is coming from. If we want to add more, we either need to cut something out of this tonight, or we need to raise the millage rate tonight to be able to afford to do those things.
Can I?
Sure.
Through the mayor? This, what I would suggest as the manager and working with the budget staff. While I say I'm comfortable where we are, what I would ask, so that we don't have to go through this grueling step by step, is if you want to adopt a slightly higher millage rate tonight, just for the sake of saying we have the room, allow us to go do the work. I still feel very, very, very confident, and it was the reason why I made the recommendation to the council. And hearing what you've been saying to me for the last 100 days about fiscal responsibility and so on and so forth, I would like to at least have the opportunity to go back, and if you want $1 million, let me go see if I can hunt that $1 million out. with some of the room that I know we still kind of have in the budget, and balancing that with some reductions without going through the grueling task of line by line by line. And I'm saying this from 13 years of budget experience and staying till 6 o'clock in the morning. We can go do that work and present.
Well, I guess I forgot to make it, I mean, let me make it clear.
Okay.
My first priority is really decreasing taxes.
Okay.
And if we have to do that with the sacrifice of not having more street to get repaired, so be it. Because I know that the people they've been crying out loud about different bills that they have and so forth. So decreasing the taxes is really a more important matter to me than is, repairing the streets are, is important as well. But I would rather forego there's some of that to make sure that we do have a decrease in the taxes.
Are we discussing the
millage rate.
Okay, that's when we stop from discussing the budget,
Yeah,
right?
We trying to,
Okay, we're gonna come back on the budget.
yeah, because
Can-
I guess the mayor will let us know how we proceed.
How
Yeah,
we doing now?
we're doing the millage rate first.
So, Mr. Mayor,
When-
do-
Can I make a motion to approve the millage rate at 7.5 mils?
Can I say something on record before? And
It's up to the
Councilwoman Keys. And for the past 9, 10 months, I've been sitting with either the deputy city manager when you were the acting city manager, and with the city manager, and I said point blank that I will not vote for any budget if we're not gonna decrease tax on the constituent. And I even asked you guys, don't try to balance your budget by keeping the millage rate at 7.9. That's when I say that point blank, and I keep my word, and I would prefer that we keep the millage rate at 7.5%, then people can have a break, because when we had that situation where we have to increase tax on people and they get hurt. And now if we can have a break, if they can have a break, if now and things are doing better in the city, the health of the city in terms of financially is better, then we have to give it back to the people. And I think it's a good idea if we decrease taxes by lower the millage rate at 7.5, and I'm for it.
Okay. And also,
we
I mean,
already have $1 million for improvement, and I think that's enough, because people do suffering with that water bill. That's when if we can give them a break with the property taxes, that's a good thing for them.
yeah, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you decrease taxes, people have more money left in their pocket. It goes around in the economy. They have more money to spend. They come to the neighboring stores and they shop and they eat, and that's a good thing. So I would second your motion, Madam Councilwoman, sorry.
Okay, Mayor, so I was just informed by the city attorney I have to reread the resolution in its entirety because of that addition to that.
Well, why don't we just read
You
that?
gotta read it in the entirety. Yeah, so, we're on the millage rate, so now I'm gonna, that slight correction. So let me go ahead and do this again. Resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, adopting the tentative millage rate of 7.5000 mils for fiscal year 2016 through 2017, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Whereas the City of North Miami, Florida, city has considered an operating budget for fiscal year 2016 through 2017 in accordance with the provisions of Section 200.065 Florida Statutes 2016, and whereas the millage rate necessary to fund the city's operating budget for fiscal year 2016 through 2017 is 7.5000 mils, which is negative 0.3203 below the rollback rate of 7.5241. And whereas, in accordance with Section 200.065 subsection 5, Florida statutes, as amended from time to time, a majority vote of the mayor and city council is required to adopt a rate of up to 7.5000 mils, and whereas the mayor and city council find that the adoption of the proposed tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2016 through 2017 is in the best interest of the city. Now therefore be it duly resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, section 1, adoption of tentative millage rate. The mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, hereby adopt 7.5000 mils as the tentative millage rate on assessed property value necessary to fund the city's fiscal year 2016 through 2017 operating budget. Section 2, effective date. This resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption. Passed and adopted by a blank vote of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, this blank day of blank 2016. I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve tab A as is. That motion was then seconded by Mayor Smith Joseph. Councilman Bienemay,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Desiree,
Yes.
Mayor Joseph,
Yes.
Councilman Galvin.
Yes.
Tab A has been approved with a 5-0 vote.
Councilman Key.
You didn't cut.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, she's
Coun-
the maker of the motion.
Councilwoman Keys,
Yes.
tab A has been approved with a 5-0 vote. Sorry, I already.
Yes, tab B.
And for the record, again, I have to read this tab, which is an ordinance in its entirety. An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, adopting and approving the budget of the city of North Miami for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2016, and ending September 30th, 2017, authorizing the amount to be raised by taxation for the operation of the city for the 2016-2017 fiscal year, authorizing the expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing a return on investment transfer from the water and sewer utility fund to the general fund, authorizing the city manager to implement budget amendments, revenue and or expenditures to appropriate or unappropriate funds as required during the fiscal year, and to amend the prior fiscal year budget to facilitate the year-end closing process, providing for repeal, severability, and for an effective date. Whereas the budget of the city of North Miami, Florida City for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2016 and ending September 30th, 2017, attached here to as Exhibit 1, was considered at public hearings held on September 6, 2016 and September 20th, 2016 as required by Chapter 200 Florida statutes. And whereas the mayor and city council wish to approve and adopt the budget of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2016 and ending September 30th, 2017, and to authorize that this amount be raised by taxation for the operation of the city for the 2016-2017 fiscal year. Now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, that section 1, budget approved and adopted, the budget of the city of North Miami for the 2016-2017 fiscal year, attached here to its Exhibit 1, is hereby approved and adopted. Section 2, implement budget amendments. The city manager in the city of North Miami is hereby authorized to implement budget amendments, revenue and or expenditures to appropriate or unappropriate funds as required during the fiscal year, and to amend the prior fiscal year budget to facilitate the year-end closing process. Section 3, expenditure of funds appropriated in the authorized budget. Funds appropriated to the various departments in the budget may be expanded by the directors of each department by and with the approval of the city manager in accordance with the provisions of the city charter and applicable ordinances. Expenditure of funds, including but not limited to enterprise funds, internal service funds, and expendable trust funds, under circumstances in which additional revenues are generated by user fees or charges to offset the cost of supplying a service to residents or other city departments, shall not be limited by estimated appropriations, but rather by actual revenue. And to that extent, the actual revenue received shall be deemed to be appropriated. Section 4, return on investment of water and sewer fund assets. The budget includes a transfer from the water and sewer operation and maintenance fund to the general fund, representing the return on investment that taxpayers would receive if the utility were sold. The transfer from the 2016-2017 fiscal year is calculated at 6.5% of fixed assets as of September 30th, 2015. This transfer may be made annually, but not to exceed 7.5% of the utilities' net fixed assets. Section 5, checks. All checks on city bank accounts shall be signed by any member of the city council and the finance director. Section 6, amount of taxes. The approximate amount of $19,525,764 and no cents shall be the amount of gross taxes to be raised by the operating ad valorem tax levied authorized by resolution of the mayor and city council. Section 7, authority of manager. The city manager is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents and instruments and to do and cause to be done any and all acts and things necessary or proper for carrying out the transactions contemplated by this ordinance. Section 8, repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict or inconsistent or inconsistent are repealed. Section 9, severability. If any word, clause, phrase, sentence, paragraph, or section of this ordinance is held to be invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, such declaration of invalidity shall not affect any other word, clause, phrase, sentence, paragraph, or section of this ordinance. Section 10, effective date. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon passage on second reading. Passed and adopted by a blank vote of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida on first reading this blank day of blank 2016, and passed and adopted by a blank vote of the mayor and council of the city of North Miami on second reading this blank day of 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We've already been discussing the item, so we actually did open it to the public. I don't know if, do we need to reopen it? Okay. Public hearing is now open again on the item of the budget. I see no one coming, so public hearing is closed. Well, no, go ahead. It's only 2 minutes.
Kenneth 776 Northeast 125th Street. Mayor, I don't know if this is the appropriate hearing for it, but I would think if you're looking for a citizen's perspective on the budget, I'm glad that you're lowering the millage rate. That's more money in my pocket. I agree with you. What I see out there on the streets is we need more people where the rubber meets the road. The streets are general maintenance workers, keeping our streets clean. I walk every day, do 6-7 miles a day. The streets, the people just can't keep up with it. The citizens throw the garbage out there. We have to clean it up. We need more people there. The Parks Department, we need more people. Code enforcement, they're doing a hell of a great job, but they need more people. I see stuff on the weekends, it's just outrageous. We don't have the people, so where the rubber meets the road, we need more people. Thank you.
Thank you. Point very well taken. Nothing from you? Okay, you're back to the dais.
Okay. You want to go first? Okay, Mr. Mayor, are we going to do department by department, or do you want us to just talk about the various, how we going to, what's the process?
I mean, whatever it is that whatever points that you have to make, we don't have to go, we can always go back and forth. But if you have a list of like 10 items you want to talk about, you can just go ahead and put them out there.
So whoever's have
No
the mic,
particular
just
order.
go ahead in no particular order.
Mm.
Oh, is that okay with you, Mr. Manager, or you prefer as we talk about one department, so that we don't go back to it?
However
If not, we'll be here all night.
It's our dais, man.
It's our night?
It's our
It's your
dais.
night. It's your night, your show.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if anybody else over there.
No, you went first, sir.
Okay. I do have a couple of comments. Yeah, thank you, Chief, for said what you said. I do agree with you. A lot of the stuff that you mentioned, because earlier today, the deputy manager and we had one of those similar calls. And a lot of it that we, as the city, we're supposed to be doing, or at least we think the residents supposed to be doing, apparently they don't have the money, or it does look a mess out there, so we do have to do something. Mr. Manager, when we met last week, I think we spent almost 4 hours just going over this. So this is gonna be very, very,
Easy.
easy. I won't take a lot of time, but very focused. Councilman Galvin, I didn't know nothing about the Beer Fest also, and we met for 4 hours, so it's not only you. I had some questions with the general funding. So before we even get into the budget, I'm looking at this particular page. That's the general fund expense. There are some departments, and we talked about this, Terry, that's way up there. I just wanted to be on the record. I want the public to know why some of these are up. The first one is the building. I think it's very clear and very understandable what we're doing with cap government. So as a result, that's been increased. City attorney. I didn't have a chance to speak with you, Mr. Attorney, but it's increased 29%. So what's that for?
Well, there are a number of things. One, I believe the contract manager or contract review person for Solomia is placed under my budget. Additionally, there's things I'd prefer not to talk about, but there are some, you will see some increase in outside city attorney expenditures.
Outside counsel.
Outside counsel, only because there's some areas that we need some outside counsel.
Okay.
I identified them as when I came in, some of the practices that we're doing, we shouldn't be representing the city in certain cases. So you'll see some small expenditures there, and that's really the most of it. You've got the LDRs that we're going to be doing those, and as I've mentioned in a couple of the meetings, we haven't scheduled it yet, but later on in the year, probably next year, we will after we go through the LDRs, we will be reviewing the entire code, which I don't know if we'll be done by the end of the fiscal year, but it'll at least start next fiscal year.
Okay.
So those are some of the expenditures that you're seeing.
Okay, thank you, sir. City clerk, Mr. Clerk, is because of the election?
You
Thank
got it,
you.
Mayor.
I got it.
Vice
Moving
Mayor.
forward. City manager, we went over, and part of that is the contract manager. Okay. And I did ask that, I saw that the governmental affair were out. I did ask if we could put it back in.
And
It will
so,
be. No, go ahead, sir.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Through the vice mayor, since you are now chairing, yes, we have taken into consideration your recommendation during our discussion, and we will be making that change.
Okay, thank you, sir. Code enforcement, 25%. I know they hired someone. Part of their supplement, how much more are they looking to hire? How many people more? Part of this 38 is coming from code enforcement, not including the one that they just recently hired.
Right,
Because-
the code enforcement budget went up 25%. 120,000 of that was a supplemental for the demolition of abandoned properties. There's a lot of properties that are abandoned. Our code department's gonna take care of them this year with that supplemental.
What do you mean they're gonna take care of them?
Mow it?
Outside structures that are boarded up,
Okay.
they're gonna take care of those. Also, there was 4 positions added to the code department last year. And when we pay our pension a year behind, so the fact that we move those positions over, this year those pensions are hitting in the code department. So that's the 25%.
So how many more employees they're
There's
gonna?
there's no new employees in the code department.
I
this year.
believe there was one, if,
Not for budget.
not for budget, I mean, as part of the supplemental. So they don't, hold on. So for going, supplemental in the back. So they have no new code enforcement officer for the fiscal year 2017.
No, it's 13 last year, 13 this year.
Okay, I would like to propose that we add one. I mean, that's part of the cleaning up. I thought they had one. I don't know where I got that from, Mr. Manager.
There was a vacancy throughout this current fiscal year, and they just filled it. That may
No,
be the one.
not this fiscal year. I'm talking about the 2017 fiscal year. I thought there was one, at least one, because that's part of what Chief was talking about, the city looking a mess. They just hired one. I thought that we would have had at least a couple. we were gonna look at and see what we could do. But the fact that I see that we don't have one, and I don't think we specifically talked about that when we met. So, Mr. If you can, because now I think members have to understand what Councilman Galvin was trying to say. Now we really gonna, since we had a 7.5 tax rate, which we all happy with, we're gonna have to do some cutting. Unless there's some magic money somewhere we don't know about, Mr. Manager. There's none. Okay, we cutting.
And Mr. Mayor, any change in the budget, we're gonna have to vote on it item by item. That's a proposal, you have to vote on.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do you- well,
Or you're gonna leave it for the
well, let me
second
ask you a
reading?
for the
question.
second one.
Do you, and this kind of speaks to what I just, what I requested earlier.
Yeah.
Would you like, well, I would prefer that you give me all of those changes and allow me the opportunity to go back and come up with a recommendation
Can we do
to meet
that?
those challenges. And then during our briefings, I guess, update you individually.
So,
So by the time I bring back the final budget, we'll have a sense of what those things are and what they are not.
got it.
And we can vote.
And then you
We
can
can
vote,
vote
and
at
then you can vote,
once.
and then you can vote
Got
at
it.
once.
Okay, perfect.
So that way,
All right.
it's a little bit more of
Because if you're talking
a
about
streamlined
This
process.
street messy, and I don't think that's good enforcement. We
No,
need people
no,
from
no.
Park and Rec
That's not code.
and to the cleanup.
Yeah, that's not. No, it's not code. I was just saying that I agree
Oh,
with him. But well, part of the mess could be code. The houses not being looked at, and But anyhow, okay. So, Mr. Manager, do your magic and see if we could do something with code. CPND, I'm very happy. I see a big deficit, so that's good. I don't even want to ask nothing, so we're skipping that. Finance, 14%. I did have an issue with that, but you assured me, and during our briefing, Mr. Manager, you said it would be, that's some movement that was happening, and part of it was the water and sewer. So, yeah, fund, and I don't too much have a concern with that. Technology information, the 13% are increase, what is that?
Overall, in the budget, you'll see approximately 7% for
PTSD.
staffing, 2% for COLA, 5% for merit.
We-
That's
we know-
automatic.
we
Within
know
that,
that.
knowing that, you also have money and IT for cyclical replacement of computers. 14,000 in addition for MoCA, and then you have about $100,000 for executime.
That's what
the
I
digital-
wanna-
the
And
digital
these are
budget.
supplementals.
Yes.
Okay, so 100,000, so not the 53. Okay, 162, the switch equipment, what is that?
There's 5 or 6 switches in City Hall, and that's probably the information technology director can talk more intellectually about that equipment, but I know it's.
Do we
it's
change it
needed to-
every year, or?
Yes, there is, yes, every year we change 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
That is our cyclical replacement of just our general IT
So it's
equipment.
42,000 this
yeah.
year.
It's O&M.
And that's the
Okay.
same as last
Yeah.
year.
So, and so the 100,000 is the computer for the entire city?
Yes.
Okay, so these computers are being changed every year? Some of them, okay. And these are, so every year we changing computers,
And
just
new-
to change them?
New computers and IT equipment.
No, we're not just changing computers just for the sake of changing them.
Okay,
We are replacing equipment that is outdated or
outdated,
obsolete
outdated.
in a uniform manner
Manner.
every year. The department budgets an amount or request a budget for replacement every year. So this is not just the manager wants a
So
new.
it's not the same computers being changed every year.
No,
It's just a
it's older-
cyclical
older-
thing that,
yes,
like,
older
this year you
PCs.
may be replacing, let's say,
All the computers that were bought in 2001.
yeah. And then
So,
next year
yeah,
you'll be
do this-
replacing
do this
some
for-
other ones.
Exactly.
okay, so what happened after 2018?
And servers and not just laptop servers and all the other stuff that
So
supports
after
our system.
2018, we're gonna get a new proposal for another 3 years? Pretty much?
Yes.
Alrighty then, okay.
I know IT is one of those areas that
Yeah.
that can tend to be nebulous until Eden doesn't work and we can't process payroll, or, you know, someone's laptop is not working in the field in code, or, you know. So I hear you and I'm listening, but I tend to be a little bit more protective of that technology replacement, because it is something that, and I think you've seen it here. If the server goes down for an hour, we can't do anything. We can't send any emails. We can't respond. And
No, I totally agree, because one of the issues that I had with IT, and I continue having it, is if you're at home, there's certain, unless I think Ricardo told me, unless you are on a bigger network, you cannot open certain items, or you cannot even attach files if you are running out. So you have to operate on this. And I'm like, wait a minute, there are, for example, the university where I teach at, you could attach these things and we still use Outlook. So that could be something maybe the IT director could look into. How can we get into a system that's employees, once they're at home, they could, you know, because I'm constantly calling. Okay, moving the library, I'm so happy, but I see it is down. You did tell me that Lucia had some books in there, which I'm happy. Is Lucia here? Are you